Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, with plenty of picks for you for the primetime games. We'll also dip into some baseball for tomorrow morning, look at some football for this week as well. And let's take a peek here at our green room. We have a full guest list today here on our show, and we'll go ahead and get the ball rolling here and welcome my co-host on the show for today, Joe D'Amico and Dana Lane. I'll start with you, Dana. What about this fireworks going on in Dodger Stadium, 7-7 tie?
Yeah, I always appreciate the update, Tony. I'm heavily involved with the Astros today, and once again, you deliver some great news, 7-7, but still feel pretty good about my chances.
That's right. Of course, Joe, these baseball playoffs have been pretty exciting. How's the action been in Vegas in these books? They've been a lot of runs scored here.
Action's been good, lots of runs. I mean, you can bet on anything these days. The first few innings, you can bet on overs, unders, anything you want. But yeah, we're gonna have a lot of action on it. You've got some of the biggest teams in MLB, and some of the biggest media cities in the world that are playing in the postseason, which does help both the ratings and boost, morale and fan favoritism. So you're going to get a lot of action, and that's what we're just getting right now. But fortunately, we're going to be talking about this a little bit later. There's a little bit of a trend in the postseason right now. Even though we went through one full round and we're just starting the next round of division playoffs, there's something we are going to bring up later that I found out and I'm very excited about, and I want to bring to some of the guys on the panel and to our viewers.
All right, very good. Of course, Dana, the first game is in the books here as Atlanta up 2-0 in this series. Ian Anderson and the Atlanta Braves, 2 runs was enough here, shutting out Pablo Lopez and the Marlins.
What a great job by Ian Anderson. Here's a kid, too. I don't know if a lot of people remember. He just came in at the end of August. He didn't even start with the Atlanta Braves, and he's absolutely been on fire, the product of Shenandoah High School in upstate New York. And, boy, what a find for the Braves. They just keep on cranking out great starting pitching.
That's right. Of course, Joe, we saw the game last night with the Yankees and Rays. The series up even at 1-1. But, man, those Yankees bats have been hot in these playoffs.
They are very hot. And when you're talking about that a little bit, people don't realize, during the regular season, I believe they hit over 94 home runs, which they were ranked 5th. Can't believe it. Through just a few games in the postseason, they've already hit 13 round trippers. Their bats have come alive. Yesterday, my hat's off to the Rays and their pitching staff for, I think, was it 18 strikeouts? What I believe I read. I turned it off once the game was over, but I will tell you, very exciting series. We got some great baseball still to be played. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, Dana, that Dodger-Padres series, Buehler and company, really good bullpen work here by Mays. And L.A. takes the lead in that series 1-0 with some late-inning run production.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too. We talk about, handicapping games. And, if you just look at the box score, you're like, wow, this is going to be a pitching-dominated series, especially with Kershaw going in Game 2. But, if you look as well, it looked like as the game went on that the Dodger bats were starting to come alive. We all know about Kershaw's issue in the postseason, so don't be so quick to jump on that under in Game 2.
Yeah, that looks like a good one as well. And, of course, the Lakers up 3-1 in this series in a really slow-paced game. The teams are going to get now 2 days off before they cut back to the court on Friday. So slow pace, the game goes under. A lot of people like that game under, and it came under. Lakers up 3-1 in the series, Dana.
Well, I mean, Tony, this to me is over. I mean, you look at the Lakers starting 5; they absolutely have dominated the Miami Heat starting 5. If you look at the bench, and that to me, I love looking at depth, whether it's the NBA or the NHL, and the depth for the Lakers. If you look at the minutes played by their bench and the production by their bench versus what the Miami Heat has been forced to do, who only went 3 deep in their last game. As the series goes on, those are the sort of things that start to separate teams. And the Lakers' depth, if you can bring a guy like Rondo off the bench, I mean, Miami cannot match. And then, even when you're talking about starting 5, superstar for superstar, yeah, it's great what Jimmy Butler has been able to do. Can I lean on Jimmy Butler every single night? No, I don't. I can't. And haven't been able to throughout his career, even though he seems to be in a great spot right now. But a guy like LeBron James, I mean, he's absolutely on a mission. He is the best player on the court. I don't know if I'm enlightening anybody at this point, but the fact remains, when you get to this point in the season, you want to make sure that you have the superstar on your team, and that's what the Lakers have, is the superstar on their team. He will not allow this series to get away. They may win Miami may win the next game. And in fact, percentages will tell you that the team that's up 3-1 don't always win, don't have the high percentage or high win percentage in game 5. But there's no way the Lakers are dropping 3 straight in this series to lose the series.
Doesn't look that way. I think the rest might have Miami getting those 2 days off. And, of course, Joe, the action in the books here with this NFL, with his NBA Finals. I know a lot of sharp people run Miami to open up the postseason. They're a good 3-point shooting team, but looks like those tickets may go down in flames as the Lakers have a commanding lead so far.
Well, absolutely. You understand that the Lakers are still a fan favorite. And here in Vegas, where we take a large amount of the sports betting action, we've got a lot of Los Angeles people coming into town. So you're going to see a team like the Lakers. I mean, not like Lakers, the Lakers get the action. I mean, we talked about it for the last several weeks. Miami played exceptional. They played beyond themselves for each of the opening rounds. And then we talked that there wasn't a lot of pressure on them because they weren't supposed to be there, which made them a better ball team. I mean, if you looked at them through the first several rounds, guys, they looked like they were having fun while they were playing ball. And I know we could talk business, we could talk sport, but they looked like they were enjoying themselves because they were winning and they didn't have pressure on them. They're feeling a little bit of pressure now. I mean, to be honest with you, you're going against arguably the greatest player on the planet and going against Los Angeles. You're not just going up against Kobe. You're not just going to get there. There you go. You're not just going to be up against LeBron and the Lakers and the coaching staff. You're going against the city of LA, and the city of LA is a very powerful force.
Yeah, it certainly is. All right, here on the drive-thru, joined by Dan Lane and Joe D'Amico. Guys, a lot of picks coming up. As I said, we're going to cover the primetime games, Yankees and Rays, Dodgers and Padres. We'll have picks on those, as well as plays for NFL and college football. But let's go ahead and get the show started with our handicappers. We'll welcome Joe Duffy into the show. Joe, how you doing today, and how you enjoying this NBA Finals?
I'm enjoying the NBA Finals. This thing I slightly disagree with Dana. Of course, depth is enormously important, but when it comes to the NBA playoffs, it's what I call my Adrian Barbeau theory. I might be dating myself there, but it helps to be top heavy. And look, let's face it, how do you pick that 1-2 punch of Davis and King James? It all starts there. I think you'll find out throughout history, whether it's obviously Scottie Pippen and that guy Jordan, and, of course, even when Houston won it back-to-back, they actually had 3 very good players. It really starts with your superstars. Of course, it's nice to have a great bench, but when you've got that 1-2 punch that the Lakers have, it's almost impossible. Back when LeBron played with Dwayne Wade, you start with your top 2, your top 3 players and work from there. And I think that's really the number one reason the Lakers are going to win the NBA championship, because of my Adrian Barbeau theory.
All right, that's Joe Duff here. Join us here on the drive-thru. It's the Adrian Barbeau theory. And we'll see if this applies to the plays coming with. We're looking here at college football. Mississippi State looking for a rebound here at Kentucky. Kentucky, a defensive team with quarterback player Wilson under center. We're seeing here Kentucky laying 2. Joe, total sits about 50. The numbers are going to be variable here, guys. 57.5 to 58.5 is a total. How do you see this one?
Yeah, Kylan. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Kylan Hill is back for Mississippi State, which is very big. Mississippi State, it's not a surprise how unpredictable they've been. You probably heard me throughout the years use the term predictably unpredictable. You hire Mike Leach, you bring him to the SEC. He's the type of coach who's going to beat LSU in week 1 when they're getting whatever it was, 14 points, and then they're going to lose the next week at home, laying 14.5 points or whatever. So the fact that this isn't maybe my classic predictably unpredictable situation, the fact that Mississippi State is coming off a terrible game and they're a mild underdog. Usually I like these predictably unpredictable teams to do the opposite of what they did the previous game, but especially if they're off a bad game and they're a big underdog, or if they're off of a good game and they're a big favorite. Now, they're only a tiny underdog here. If you listen to Brent Musburger's network at all, you've probably heard them talk about, their advanced analytics guy talks about what he calls the short road dog. And it's very true. And I know the software where he got it from, BetLab software, where they talk about essentially going with small road underdogs. And it makes sense for a lot of reasons, because, essentially when there's a short spread, the public's going to generally go towards the home team. But I've used that software that he uses. I use some better software for two reasons. Number one, the software I use goes back a few more years. And number two, with the Boolean arithmetic, it's a lot easier for me to take systems when they go head to head to cancel out the subsystem. So in other words, in college football, I probably have more systems that lean towards the home favorite than any other sport. Well, then we're talking about a short road dog. Well, I find out when you eliminate all my home favorite systems from those short road dogs, it makes it turbo enhanced, and that very much applies here. In fact, the exact system that does apply would be 9, 21, 693, and 44. And when you do lower the number a little bit, when it's below 3 as a 3-point underdog, it's 660, 477, and 32. One of my simulation programs gives Mississippi State a slight edge, 53% to 44.4%. Again, it's not going to add up to 100 when you're on an even number, because there are some pushes that could happen. Another one is a tiny edge to Mississippi State. And then my favorite power ratings does have Mississippi State winning this game. Now, it's true, none of my simulators say emphatically Mississippi State, but they're all either slight leans or a moderate lean towards them. Plus, as I said, my predictably unpredictable theory applies here, and the turbo enhanced short road dog. So I say Mississippi State plus the 2. W marks the square.
All right, Joe Duffy here, taking Mississippi State here, plus the 2. Dana, Joe was talking about Leach's issues. We've seen him before over at Washington State. They can beat the big guys, but sometimes they have trouble with those small schools, even those FCS schools we've seen him fall to.
Well, we know what they have to do. They're going to have to outscore Mississippi State. I mean, there's no two ways about that. I mean, we saw KJ Costello last week not have as an effective game as he did against LSU, but you have to understand why. And the reasoning is LSU thought that they could beat them man-to-man all game, and that eventually did not work out for them. Well, we saw the next week against Arkansas, they went to more of a zone. So now I like Mississippi State even more. I don't think Kentucky's going to go man-to-man tonight. So I like them even more. Now they will probably work against a zone. He will have another week of practice where they will practice that, and he's already seen it in live action. So I think he's going to be much better than he was. I don't think he's going to throw 3 picks, but we do know this. He's going to throw the ball 35 to 40 times tonight, and it's going to be, either they're going to blow Kentucky away or it's going to be a shootout. I would like to see them run the ball a little bit more. I don't really want them to be one-dimensional. They have been one-dimensional for most of the year, which is fine, which is the way that they're going to play. But, most of the time you want to see teams getting that 90 to 100 range running the ball. Of course, in college football, maybe even a little bit more. But I would like them to be in that 50 to 60-yard range rushing the ball rather than the high 40 range. I think that's going to allow them to be in a better position in a shootout. The other thing about it, too, is when they do run the ball, they have been effective. It's not like that they can't run the ball. And when they're able to throw, it's kind of the opposite of what you might think. When they're able to throw effectively, which they have, then they're also able to run effectively. They average almost 4 yards a game, or over 4 yards a carry. So they are able to run the ball pretty effectively, and I think that's what we're going to see tonight. I like Mississippi State to win this game outright. I don't really put too much into what I just saw last week. We don't put too much emphasis. We put more emphasis on, the adjustments to what we just saw rather than put so much into, they were ineffective against Arkansas, so that's going to play into this week. I think they'll make the adjustments. I think they're better than Kentucky, and I think they're going to outscore them.
Yeah, and of course, Joe, we talked about the run game. I know Leach, when he was at Washington State, he used to hear that all the time. But once he established the run game, the team really excelled, and they were they were competing for a Rose Bowl when they had that run game. But of course, he's new in the system. We have the COVID situation. He's trying to, it's a big change for this offense. Now he's installing the passing game. Maybe the run game will come a little later. It's still a transition here for Mississippi State.
Yeah, well, the key is the kid Hill, who is without question their best running back. He was hurt very early last week, so for all intent and purposes, he missed last week. He did have a couple carries before he was hurt, so when they had their star running back, they pulled off their big upset. When they didn't have their star running back, they were upset. And Hill is also very good as a weapon catching the ball out of the backfield, almost in the same way that Tony Dorsett was years ago, just catching that little screen pass and then running after the catch. So there's no question in the SEC, you better have some balance if you truly want to start competing there in the SEC West. And I think, again, hopefully my reports are correct that Hill is healthy. And that's one of the reasons why it opened up as 3 and did drop. Dropping off of that key number of 3 is a pretty significant move. But I think that's one of the main reasons why it did, because it does look like Hill is going to play. Now, if all of a sudden at the end of the week we find out, Hill is trending downward, then all of a sudden you're going to get a much better number. And I don't quite like this pick at +2 as much as I do now. But it does look like he is going to play. And with Hill in there, they have a lot more balance.
All right, so Joe Duffy here joining us on the drive-thru. You can find him over at Pig Dogs Premium as we approach the bottom of the hour. Joe, what do you have going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
Well, luckily, my only play for today is a nighttime play. Tomorrow, I will have a very big play on the Thursday night football game. Friday night, looks like I'm going to like the side in total. We have quite a few plays on Saturday. As soon as I get off of here, I'm going to get back to the Sunday NFL. I already have all my notes. Looks like we're going to have some good plays Sunday as well. So a big weekend. Look, my the past 30 days haven't been as great as the past 30 plus years, but we're going to certainly explode and starting this weekend.
All right, you hear that from Joe Duffy. Check him out over at Pig Dogs Premium. Pick up one of his packages. We're getting into football this weekend, guys, so get on board. Oh, Joe, it's always great having your show. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you in a few days.
We shall, gentlemen.
All right.
Good night, Joe.
All right, our buddy Joe Duffy here on the drive-thru, back here with the crew. Let me get the buttons working here, guys. That's what I got to do here. All right, here we go. We got them all back here on the drive. I want to look at this game here, Florida State and Notre Dame. It's a big line. Notre Dame here laying 21 points. Of course, they were struck with COVID, right? They had that game against Wake Forest postponed, and with the Seminoles, they may have got it right the third time with their backup quarterback, third stringer Jordan Travis came in and helped them overcome a deficit. It was an FCS school, passed for 210 yards. I don't know, 21 might be a little too many points to lay with Notre Dame. Of course, they're coming off the COVID. This will probably look at Notre Dame's competition this year. It hasn't been the strongest, I know, because they got past Duke in South Florida. But Dana, gonna be kind of tough for Notre Dame here. With 25 COVID positives, that's a lot.
And last I thought, there were 39 guys that were actually in quarantine for Notre Dame. So, they boasted quite a bit over the close to the beginning of the season how there was no COVID cases, and unfortunately, this is a virus that can hit anybody at any time, and they felt it as well. But going into this game, look, not only did Florida State, they won last week against Jacksonville State, but they actually had to come back in order to do that. I think 21's a lot of points in this one. And the reason is I love Notre Dame. Don't get me wrong. Notre Dame's a better team than Florida State. There's no doubt about it. But the fact of the matter is I've seen Ian Book, especially at home, where Notre Dame comes out, they're a little bit more comfortable than you would like, and especially in games where they play teams that they should beat. Now, Ian Book, great. He's got good legs, good arm, whatever. But the one problem I have with him is he's always good for one or two mistakes a game. He does not set his feet in the pocket, which there is no reason not to set your feet in the pocket with that offensive line that he has. And he doesn't always put the ball right where the maximum area where the wide receivers can do something with it. Now, he's got great talent around him. There's no doubt about it. So they really eat up a lot of his mistakes. But in a game where Florida State is basically going to come into this one, and this is their Super Bowl. This is their national title game, and there was no doubt. I'll take that Jacksonville State game and throw it out because they were doing a bunch of different things, and there was a look ahead spot for them. So I throw that completely out. But Travis Jordan, a knock against him, looked pretty good, I guess, from what people have said. I wasn't able to actually watch that game at all, but from people that know him, that know other people that had watched the game, they said the one knock about him is a lot of guys think he's one-dimensional. But when you have a guy that can run the ball, and you have a Notre Dame team that at some points they over pursue not only ball carriers, but they were also much more aggressive over the middle. That leaves them susceptible for throws downfield. And from what I hear, the knock against Jordan Travis is not accurate, and the kid can throw the ball pretty well. So can I envision Florida State putting up 21 points? Yeah, absolutely. So that would mean Notre Dame would have to be, 42, 43 points, and I just don't see them getting there.
Okay, joining here with Dana Lane and Joe D'Amico looking at the Florida State Notre Dame game. Of course, Jordan, he wasn't in the quarterback battle because he did suffer an injury and it impacted his off season. All right, continuing here on the show. Now we're going to take a look here at this Yankee Rays game, and Joe D'Amico up in center here, ready to talk Yankees and Rays. Let's get the line set up here. It's Morton against Tanaka. Yankees favored about $1.27 to $1.30 in some places. It'll go up. So you want the Yankees, you better play now because we've seen a lot of late money on the Yankees in this postseason. Total sits here at 9. How do you see this one, Mr. Joe D'Amico?
Well, how do I see it? I'm wearing it, brother. I'm wearing it. I'll tell you right now. And if you are keeping track, my free plays here on the Big Dog Show are on a 16-5 run. They're going to go 17-5 after tonight. As Tony said, guys, going to talk Tampa Bay, New York. They're playing in Petco Park tonight, and it may be 2,770 miles from Yankee Stadium to Petco Park, guys. But the Bombers of the Bronx will shine in San Diego tonight, folks. As Tony said, pitchers are set. Charlie Morton, Masahiro Tanaka, my second cousin, twice removed. Guys, funny thing here, Morton does have a bit more innings in his lifetime under his belt. Tanaka owns the better win-loss record. Strangely enough, both starters have 9 postseason starts under their belt in their credit. And I do think, we're going to talk about this in a little bit, about postseason experience. I think it plays a huge part in performances by not just pitchers, but position players and batters, and teams overall in the postseason. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Hands down, though, to me, this game, because the pitchers are a little even, and this game is going to come down to hitting. And hands down, New York has the more dangerous lineup. They average over 5.25 a game compared to Tampa Bay's 4.82. The Yankees have the power to pile up runs with the long ball, folks. They've done it the entire season and the entire postseason. They got 13 home runs already this postseason. That's right, 13 home runs. Now, folks, don't make a mistake and use yesterday's game to either gauge today's game or to make the mistake about hitting. The entire Yankees lineup, they were due for a bad day. Hats off to the Rays and their pitching staff. But they returned today, and they will blow it up. True, during this peculiar regular season, the Rays got a bit better of the Yankees, in the rivalry. But the regular season is over, folks. It's the playoffs, and it's time to put the kiddies to bed. And guess who's going to bed tonight? The Rays. New York, 10-4, the last 14 versus right-handed starters. 4-1 the last 5 divisional playoff games. I like the pitching matchup. I like the New York lineup, and I like New York to come back strong. I like the Yankees here, guys. These little town blues, baby. New York tonight, guys.
All right, Joe D'Amico says take the New York Yankees to get the win against Tampa Bay Rays. Of course, Dana, we've looked at this Yankee lineup. Every game in the playoffs have gone over.
Yeah, again, I love this pitching matchup, and Joe brings up a good point about both of these guys having, certainly Charlie Morton's had plenty of experience, and of course he was with Houston for that Game 7 win in the World Series. He's a dependable 4-2 in the postseason. His ERA is right where he wanted to be if you're looking at the under, which I am. This is a guy that hasn't pitched in 12 days, so he's got to be, he has to be rested. So I think you're going to get a good outing out of Morton. And, of course, with Tanaka, in 5 of his last 8 starts, he was given 3 runs or less of support. And he gave up 6 earned runs to the Cleveland Indians in the Wildcard Round, but he never has given up more than 3 earned runs in a postseason start prior to that. In fact, in 9 starts, his 9 total postseason starts, he's given up 2 runs or less in 7 of those outings. So both of these guys look like, there's no reason to think that either one of these guys are going to get blown up tonight. And like Joe said, outside of the home runs, the Yankees did only have 3 hits. And Tampa Bay, if we were looking at, I know Tampa Bay's power, on paper cannot match the Yankees for sure, but, they did have 4 home runs last night as well. But I don't think that that's going to, translate into tonight, like Joe said. I think we're going to have a pitching duel tonight, and that 9 runs I think is generous. And I certainly will be looking at the under in this one.
All right, Danny Lane says looking at the under in this one. Joe, how do you feel about this Yankee bullpen? We saw them in some high-scoring games against Cleveland. Of course, Tampa's pushed some runs across against them.
I will tell you this. Doesn't matter what your bullpen can do. If you can hit 4 or 5 home runs a game, Yankees power, they got their name, the Bronx Bombers, because they can hit that ball long. Yes, I would like the Yankees bullpen to be a little bit better. But if you're going to score 8 or 10 runs a game, guys, it doesn't matter if I'm coming out of the bullpen like Charlie Sheen from the Major League movie, like Wild Thing Vaughn. I don't think it matters. I think this comes down because the 2 pitchers match up very well, because they're both very good, they're both very seasoned. I think it comes down to hitting, and because one of the things I'm not gauging, like, you can't say, oh well, last week this team looked bad, so let's come in this week in a football game. Those do for factors and those things. But I do think the fact that the Yankees had a poor. I mean, I think the Rays pitchers pitched well yesterday. I do think the Yankees are not happy about. Obviously, they're not happy about the loss, but I think that particular loss, because they still did put some runs on the board. And my hat's off to the Rays, but I'm not worried about it. As long as we can put up 8 or 9 or 10 runs, the Rays aren't matching us tonight.
All right, that's Joe D'Amico here. Join us on the drive-thru. As you can see the play right there, he says go ahead and take the New York Yankees. It's the Yankees to get the win against the Tampa Bay Rays. All right, Joe, we're seeing you over at Pig Dogs Premium. You've got some plays up there for us as we reach the bottom of the hour?
Oh, Tony, I've got a buffet going between tonight and tomorrow. But, guys, sports fans, it doesn't matter what shape the ball, no matter what the sport, my big game releases are getting everybody paid. Round ball, NBA, on the gridiron, NFL, NCAA football, and on the diamond, Major League Baseball. Guys, if you're not following me on Pick Dogs, you are costing yourself money. Go to Pick Those right now. The 1 play remaining tonight, my MLB best bet. To me, it was the best bet on the entire board today. I've got that up there on the Pick Those site. By tomorrow, I will have all my weekend football plays up, guys. And I will tell you this, I will have some of the biggest plays I've released, not just this season in the last 4 or 5 weeks, but go over since last season or the year before that. This is an explosive football card this weekend. I'm going to be making money. You follow me, and you will too, just to ensure yourself a winning football campaign. All you got to do is follow Joey D, guys.
That's right. Follow Joey D over at Pig Dogs. Joe D'Amico, pick up his packages there. You'll be a winner this football season. One of those long-term packages are really way to go, I believe, right now, guys, as we're getting into football, deeper football. More conferences are coming on here, Big Ten, Pac-12. We're doing our work to get ready for those games. We're going to just land on our foot. We got to be ready for these games. Follow the practices. All right, continuing here on the Pig Dogs show. Drive-through every day, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. A lot more picks coming. We're going to have the Dodger pick coming, football coming your way as well. I'd like to take a look, Dana, at this UTSA BYU game. It's a big line, 33.5, and if I had a choice, I probably would lay it because this team from BYU has just been pounding clubs. I mean, they're averaging, 586 yards a game. Number 1 offense, number 2 defense. Number 1 offense and defense in the league. But UTSA is on their 3rd-string quarterback, dealing with some injuries in the quarterback position. They're getting up 300 yards passing in the air. But I'd like to get your thoughts on this BYU team. I know you follow them out. Well, they're no longer a Mountain West team, but they're now an independent. But, with all these upsets, in the SEC, LSU going down, we've seen upsets in the Big 12, even UCF going down. There could be a path for BYU to get one of those New Year's Day bowls.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a team, and I talk to people that really know this program, and they would love to see them matched up against some of the big boys of college football. I mean, at both sides of the ball, as you pointed out, Tony, they're outstanding defensively. They do not allow you much time to get the ball off. In fact, it is step back, 3-step drop, not a 5-step drop. Get the ball out of your hands, or at least get up the field. If you don't have a mobile quarterback, you really have very little chance of staying close to BYU if you're not one of the elite programs in college football. Now, 33 points is a lot of points, but I'm telling you, in neither side of the ball does the UTSA match up with BYU.
No, they don't. And we saw what happened to Troy. Troy, usually a physical team in the Sun Belt, man, they just got pounded. And again, UTSA with a 3rd-string quarterback. There's injuries to their first 2. It's going to be a tough spot for them to overcome. All right, continuing here on the drive-through, guys. Got a lot more picks coming. Of course, that big Dodger-Padre game is the primetime game for today, and we're going to bring in one of the pick dogs to break that one down. And Rod Zawacki, you can hear him on the show, the morning show at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Rod, how you doing this afternoon, evening?
Doing great.
All right, awesome. Of course, keeping an eye on this A's game. Boy, what a crazy game here. It's 8-7 Oakland. Bases loaded. One of the A's just got beamed, and he's being walked off, so it could be an injury situation here. But, boy, the shadows are getting close to home plate here. So, like we saw yesterday, once those shadows hit home plate, the runs stop coming in out there at Dodger Stadium. So, Oakland's wasting to take as much time as possible. So when Oakland comes up, when Houston comes up, they might be in shadows.
Yes, definitely. They got to hold him here, or they're in trouble.
Yeah.
Bases juiced. They need to get it out of this inning, or the series is going longer.
Yeah, it's a one out for Oakland here, up 8-7. It's been a crazy game, and of course, as I said, the shadows are starting to hit home plate here. Probably another 10 minutes will be some shadows, and we saw what happened yesterday when the shadows hit. There was no run scored, so balls flying off.
Yep.
Nothing. The balls are flying off the bats at Dodgers. It's hot. It's been hot, as we said yesterday, and we've seen a high-scoring game here. The game started a little later than today, so that's why there's a little bit more sunlight, so you got more scoring here as Houston trying to get out of this jam. Bases loaded. They are down 8-7. All right, Rod, you're going to
should have been 8-8. Should have been 8-8 here. Altuve and his overrunning a second there and getting thrown out there dead to rights to third was a huge, costly running error, because that would have been another run over the plate. Would have been 8-8 here, not 8-7.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Rod, we're going to take a look at this big one. It's the primetime game tonight. It's a get-out game for everybody. Padres and Dodgers, this game being played in Texas. Davies, the right-hander, against Kershaw, the lefty. We've got Dodgers laying about 220 in this one. Total sits at 8.5. Dodgers up 1-0 in this series, but they're going with Davies.
Davies is taking them out. He has been one of the Padres' most reliable starters in 2020, pitching 2.73 ERA, 1.07 WHIP, over 12 starts. His first start in the postseason did not go so very well. He only lasted 2 innings in that wild card game against the Cardinals. Gave up 4 runs on 5 hits. So he'll definitely need to be better in this one if the Padres want a chance at this game. Considering the Padres used up 8 relievers in Game 1. And then they got Kershaw going. His first postseason start was nothing but perfection. 13 strikeouts over 8 innings. And then just giving up just 3 hits, no runs. For me in this one, I think we get prime Kershaw comes out. I think the claw comes out and shuts down the Padres early. So I'm gonna back Kershaw. I'm gonna take him on the run line. Give me the Dodgers -1.5 here.
All right, Rod Zawacki says go ahead and take LAD Dodgers on the run line, laying 1.5 at -110 against the San Diego Padres. Dana, looking at this Dodger team, yesterday the Padres went with a lot of bullpen guys, but it's kind of risky. You're going to use a lot of pitchers. If one's off or two's off their game, there can be some really crooked innings up there.
And I anticipate that happening. In fact, I'm glad Rod brought that up. I mean, this is the 3rd time in the last 4 games that the Padres have used 9 pitchers. And there has to be a point where, if you're going to go that deep, there has to be a point where that's going to fall apart. I mean, and that might be, especially when you're facing a Dodger lineup that was no hit through the first 5 innings. They can't be happy about that, even though they did score runs in the 5th and 6th inning. But when you're going deep and maybe your bullpen doesn't have the amount of relief that it's used to having, and then you're facing a team like the Dodgers, who may be a little hot by their ineptness on offense, even though they scored 5 runs, that to me could be a recipe for disaster. So I do like the over 8.5. I'm surprised that it's at 8.5. I thought maybe we get an 8 in this game, but the top of the Dodger lineup was 3 for 15. 2 for 23 for the Padres. They both left 32 runners on. So that's telling me, yeah, they weren't able to get a lot of those runners in, although there was a ton of walks in game one. The runners were there to get in. They just couldn't get the big hit. So, yeah, it was 5-1. Maybe you think, oh, geez, with Kershaw going, and then you just score 6 runs in game one. Yeah, that's true. But understand why they couldn't get a big hit. That could have been a much higher scoring game than it was. And plus, we all know about Clayton Kershaw's issues in the postseason. But this would favor the Dodgers for me, but even more, I would lean on the over in this.
Danny says looking at the over in this one. Rod, looking at the Dodger bullpen, how it sets up today. We saw Mays yesterday. I don't know who we'll see him again. We might see Urias. We'll see how the back end in the 8th and 9th. But you got to really bank on Kershaw going deep in this game because the Dodgers did go to the bullpen, early yesterday for Buehler.
Yeah, they did. I really anticipate Kershaw going deep. I think he can get another good 7-8 innings out of him tonight. At least a good solid 7 for sure. And I like the over. I think we can get the first 5 under, and the full game over. Because I think we're going to get some late inning fireworks in this game. Because we're going to see a whole pile of runs late. Yeah, is what I'm thinking. I
think it's the case. And of course, when it gets down to the end game here, Dana, how confident are you with Jansen? Lately, have that what you've seen from him?
I haven't been confident with Jansen since he put on a Dodger uniform. I mean, it is. That guy every night, you can guarantee he usually gets it done eventually, but it's not because he didn't put 2 or 3 runners on base. I have no confidence in him whatsoever, especially if I'm on the total.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, as we passed the bottom of the hour, of course, Rod Zawacki, you can find him over at Pig Dogs Premium. Rod, what do you have going on at the site?
Right now, over at the site, for the show, I'm going to give everybody a deal. If you jump over to the site right now, you can get my 3-day pass for $49.99. Been on fire this week. We had a winning day Monday, winning day Tuesday, and we're definitely going to have a winning day today for sure. As the 3 games I had in the morning are definitely going to go at least 2-1. So definitely 3 winning days in a row. Be sure to jump aboard. Heating up.
All right, he's heating up. So check out Rod Zawacki over at Pig Dogs Premium and pick up his place. By the way, you can listen to him in the morning show, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time with Mitch, Chris, and Brian. 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time is the morning show. All right, Rod, as always, great having you on your show. Have a great night, and we'll talk with you again tomorrow.
Great to be here. Everybody have a good night.
All right. Our buddy Rod Zawacki. Joe, we were talking about all these bullpen guys. Remember your man Lou Piniella, the old Yankee manager? Remember when he was managing the Rays and he was like so upset at his bullpen, he was thinking of starting games with bullpen guys. He was ahead of his time.
He was a little out there. He was a hell of a player and a very big competitor. I can tell you a funny story about him that he left during the 7th-inning stretch of a Yankee game once, went across the street to Nedick's, got a cheeseburger and brought it back, and he was called to go back on the field because he was late. Very funny story. Definitely a character. Did a lot of strange things. But there's a lot of things about this, the Major League Baseball postseason, Tony. One kind of trend I would like to talk about if we have a moment.
Go right ahead.
This is obviously nothing ordinary about 2020, especially in the sports world. And in this very strange MLB shortened regular season, we saw some teams generate a tremendous amount of excitement and win ball games. And this butt is bigger than John Cook's butt. And if you remember, he had a big-ass butt, guys. It doesn't matter if you have the most regular season wins and you led your division. Come the playoffs, the past is history. Even without fans in the stands, guys, players and teams without a ton of postseason experience will feel the pressure of October baseball, my friends. This will ring true, trust me. Now, in the Wildcard Round, guys, some of the teams with solid records and high hopes, guys, they're playing golf right now. The Twins, the White Sox, and the Indians, they've all departed, all right? Gone. They're playing golf this week. There were a few exceptions, teams that had some experience that are gone now, the Cardinals and the Cubs. But right here on the Pit Dog Show, for the last several months, what did we talk about the Cardinals and the Cubs? While they have talent, they don't have the heart nor do they have the balance on their teams to win come the postseason. In the first day of the division round, our beloved Yankees, guys, they won, and the hated Astros, they both won. They're both second-place teams, and they took down their division's first-place squads, the Rays and the A's. Now, both teams with less playoff experience went down in that day one. Day two, the Astros won again, while the Rays even up the series. But look at the NL. In the NL, both teams with more postseason experience got the game ones, the Braves and the Dodgers. So 3 of the 4 games yesterday alone, and the 2 before that, so 5 of the 6 games just through this round, the teams with the more experience have won. Now, I'm not going to say they're going to win every game, but come this time of year, it doesn't matter it was a shortened season. These players are not fatigued. It doesn't matter that there's no fans in the stands. This is October, and you've got to have nerves of steel to play October baseball, and where you don't, you're not affected by the pressure. We've encountered so many new things this season, but some old things still ring true. Playoff experience counts for a ton, guys, a ton. If you put in some stock in that overall, or when you're looking to bet a couple of these short baseball futures to win a series, or to win the World Series, or to win a pennant, guys, I promise it will be a profitable postseason. Postseason experience. Players and teams overall, it rings true.
All right, that's Joe D'Amico here on the drive-through. Give me some postseason advice here from Major League Baseball. All right, continue here on our show. Pick Dogs. Remember, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. each time here, Monday through Friday. So be sure to check us out and smash that like button, subscribe, and set that notification so you're notified when we go live with our show. We still have a lot more picks coming. We've got football picks, NFL. We've got some baseball. We do have a baseball pick coming in for tomorrow morning. We got one in as well. So we'll continue now and welcome one of the Puck Dogs. You hear him in the morning every day at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time with Mitch and company. It's Chris Ruffalo. Chris, how you doing? Are you keeping up with this A's and Astros game? Insanity.
I'm trying to. I'm watching you guys. I got the baseball game on in the background. I hear smash the like button. I might have broke my keyboard, but it's just so much stuff going on, and it's a shame that it's a quality over quantity schedule today. But you know what? That just makes just going to make us appreciate the days where we have our full college football days, our full college basketball days that much more.
Yeah, it sure will. And of course, right now, an update on this A's game. It's 9-7 Oakland, but they've 2 guys on base. It looks like for Houston. And the Shadows getting close. I told you it would take about 10 minutes for the Shadows to get to home plate, and they probably got about a couple of minutes before the batters are in shadows. So Houston better get some damage done here. 2 on, no outs. Bottom 8th, down 9-7, and let's see if Oakland's doing some stalling here to make sure that Sun gets over at home plate. Looks like it's almost there. So we'll keep an eye on this one for you. All right, joined by Chris Ruffalo. Chris, we're going to look over at the NFL, and a game I liked. I like your side in this one. Jacksonville and Houston. Texans, of course, let go of their head coach. I guess hear all the stuff afterwards with everyone upset. Heck, when you're 0-4, everyone's mad at each other. Okay, and even teams that are 4-0, there's a lot of guys pissed off each other there too. So forget about this nonsense from the media you're hearing out there. Houston favored about 6. Total sits here at 54.
Sorry, I kind of zoned out for a second. My video froze, but you know what? I was looking at, and the sad part about this Houston franchise, not that they're 0-4, because any team can come out of the gate and go 0-4 to start the year, but it's the fact of the matter is that the Texans cut ties with Bill O'Brien, and for a team that had so much promise in the Houston Texans, you draft Deshaun Watson, you've got a guy like Will Fuller, you've got Brandon Cooks. Why you trade DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson is beyond me, but that's another story for another day. You're looking now at the future. The future is very dim in Houston. I mean, yes, like I said, you have all those guys I just mentioned, but now you're going into the 2021 draft with no first or second round pick because you decided to trade it for Laramie Tunsil. You've got no up-and-coming breakout star on the offense. You have a guy like J.J. Watt who once in a while is going to stay healthy. You have, guys like Whitney Merciless who are helping take over the defense. But other than that, it's going to be rough sledding for Houston for a little while. And now you look at what they've got for the rest of the season. You've got Romeo Crennel taking over. And, as much as I like Romeo Crennel, he hasn't had a head coaching position for the last 8 seasons. And, for good reason. I mean, the few times he has had a full season coaching, he's only had 1 winning season. He's only had 2 winning tenures as a head coach. That's including a 2-1 position with the Chiefs in 2011 after he took over for Todd Haley. If you take away that 10-6 season where he had a full slate and the 2-1 season, Romeo Crennel's a 16-48 coach. That's 250. That's not going to win you. That's going to get you a top 4 pick in the draft. Yeah. As far as we're coming back to reality for this game, though, I just don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. Tony, it's like you said, guys they're going to have player revolts in the dressing room, and J.J. Watt called out Bill O'Brien at practice. This is still week 4, and that happened in week 3. So something's not happening. Something's not going right. And those first 3 games were against the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Steelers, 3 tough teams in the AFC. Then you go out to lose to the Vikings. There's something more inherently wrong with this team than just what was going on through the first couple weeks of the season. The Jaguars aren't a team I'm going to look to back long term, but for this game, I like the value of the points with the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars are a better team than a lot of people are going to give them credit for. They're playing well. They're playing fairly well out of the gate for what they've been given. And Gardner Minshew's no slouch. He can put the ball wherever he has to once in a while, and that's more than we can say for what's been happening in Houston so far this season. So I like this. I think this is a field goal game either way you slice it. I like the value of the points in this one.
Yeah, can't argue that. Of course, Dana, this Gardner Minshew can move the football. Jaguars can move the football. Both defense are alien, but it looks to me that on paper that at least the Jaguars showing a little bit more on the ground, rushing for almost 5 yards a carry and moving the football.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, they're clearly, last time I checked, a top 10 team in passing, so they can move the ball. They played well against Tennessee. They played well against the Colts. They kind of dropped the ball against Miami, but that's, to be expected. And not only do and I haven't gone too deep into it, so this is not like rush out and bet this right now, but not only do I like them with the points, but you're getting plus 235 on the money line. I mean, can we see, could you fathom an outright Houston or outright Jacksonville win? Absolutely. I mean, that's a decent price in this kind of spot. And you can't rely on either of these teams to put up a ton of points. So that means that probably the game is going to be a little bit closer. I don't think either defense you can't really rely on, to get a cheap pick or a fumble or whatever. So you're not putting teams in short yardage situations. So I think, both teams are going to have to go, 50, 60 yards on most possessions, which is also going to bode well for the team getting the 6 points. If you contain Deshaun Watson, there's no doubt in my mind that they can win this game. Plus 235, plus 6 for sure. Ultimately, it's going to be Jacksonville or nothing for me on this one.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. And, of course, Chris, your thoughts on the money line possibility?
I was actually just going to mention it right after Dana said that. I said that's a definite possibility as well. I mean, this game just has a feeling of where it's like a missed field goal, or like a cheap pass interference call. It's going to extend the play one more play with like 3 seconds left to go on the clock, and then you get a video shot of Deshaun Watson on the sideline with his head down, saying like, "What more can I do?" as the Jacksonville Jaguars win and push the Texans to 0-5 on the year. This just has a feeling like a weird game, like a 19-17 or a 24-19, some weird scoreline that just defies all logic. But as far as I can see it, Jacksonville's as live a dog as anyone to pull out a money line win as far as this weekend goes.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It could be a crooked score up there. Of course, getting the 6-6 there is the way to go. All right, Chris, we see you over at Pig Dogs. You're having a really good NBA season overall, really well. As we approach the top of the hour, what do you have going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
Yeah, unfortunately, all my stuff's pretty much gone up for the day. I have the Yankee game going up at the top of the hour. But, I'm going to, for feeling bad for not having much to go tonight, I'm kind of going to follow up on what Rod is offering. I'm going to change up a couple of my packages as well. I'm going to have my weekly package just up until midnight tonight. I'm going to have it up for $89.95. And I've also reduced the price on my MLB package just for the duration of the playoffs. You get a 3-game package normally on my side for about $25 to $29.95 a day. For the price of 3 days, you'll get coverage for basically the rest of the postseason. So definitely worth checking out over at the website as well as all the other guys as well.
All right, so guys, check out Chris Ruffalo over at Pig Dogs Premium. Pick up one of his packages. Now we got football. It's a great time to pick up one of those long-term packages. You got a 7-day, got a 30-day, or a season. So check them out over there. All right, Chris, as always, we'll be watch and listen for you on the morning show at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow with some more with a lot more betting picks.
Thank you guys for having me. Have a good night.
All right, our buddy joining us here on the drive-through, Chris Ruffalo. All right, Chris, thanks for joining us. All right, just a quick update here. It's still 9-7 with his Oakland and Astros game. 2-1. They have runners in scoring position, but my biggest fear now is we're in shadows, and there hasn't been much contact here from Astros. The 2-2 count here with Hendricks on the mound, so we'll see how this one goes. I'm going to take a look at this Cardinals and Jets game. You know, I was looking to I like the Cardinals here at -7. I know you're laying 7, but I don't have any faith in this New York Jets team. This is an offense only 278 yards a game. They're struggling to move the chains. What are they? 28th and third down. 31st in the red zone, and they faced a Broncos team with a backup and surrendered with 37 points and 242 passing yards. At least Arizona has a functional offense here. They're generating nearly 5 yards a carry. I think Murray will have a good game here. He'll make some runs. He'll wear out that Jets defense who's trying to chase them all over the field. And we saw that Jets defense really pretty much undisciplined in that game against Denver. So I could only look at the Arizona Cardinals side here at -7. And Joe, what's happening in New York with your football teams, the Giants and Jets, man? What's going on?
Oh, they're just bad. They're horrible. You put them both together, you wouldn't be able to field a Pop Warner team, It's just bad. It's a bad situation, I'll be honest with you. It seems almost like there's no life to them, and with only a month behind us of the season, that they've already thrown in the towel. I'm not saying they have thrown in the towel. It's just they're playing with no life. They're playing with no excitement. And, I mean, we knew that they didn't have a ton of talent on these teams, but we thought that at least make a showing, and neither team is making a showing. It's just horrible. All
right, continuing here on the drive-through. We've got more picks coming, and we're going to look to Dana Lane and his play. It's a Thursday game between Tulane and Houston, and at check here, we're seeing Houston favored in this one. Looks like about 6 points in this one. And one thing to note with Houston, they're making their debut. They haven't played yet because of bad luck, COVID situations on their side, COVID on the opponents. And, of course, Tulane has played. They're a pretty good running football team. They did have that bad second half against Notre Dame, Dana, but you're looking at this Tulane and Houston game.
Yeah, and this is, like you mentioned, this is the Cougars' first game of the year, so it almost goes back to be careful. Don't go all in until we know exactly what we're dealing with, but they are playing a Tulane team that has played 3 times this year, and I do see some 7s finally. I mean, we talked about this the other day where there was some 6.5s. I do see some 7s. There's one at DraftKings right now, but they are going to give the freshman quarterback Michael Pratt some snaps at practice, so he's going to have a full week of practice under his belt, and of course he's going to replace Keon Howard, which he did during the Southern Miss game. And after he went in, I thought they looked pretty good. He had a grasp of the offense, didn't look overwhelmed, which is the first thing that you look at. I look at the feet, which is the second thing. The feet always tell me how calm you are in the pocket, and this is this is a great defense to go against, because this is the defense that was ranked 124th in the nation last year, 118th against the pass. They play a 3-3-5 defensive scheme. So what that means is he's probably going to have a lot of underneath stuff, which is going to allow him to get comfortable. I think they're going to move the ball pretty efficiently and probably be in the high 20s, if not creep into the 30s in this game. And of course, Tyjae Spears is out for this season, but that is a position for the Green Wave where they are the deepest, so I don't really put too much emphasis on that. I think they're going to be able to run the ball pretty effectively, and even without him, I think this is a team that we're looking at that has averaged 300 yards a game on the ground. So not only do I think that they're going to be able to move the ball through the air, but they still think they're going to continue to be effective on the ground, and you're going to give me a touchdown against a team that has not played a game yet. I'm okay with that. Plus, on top of that, if you go back to last year, Tony, this is just not a Houston team that covers games, and they're 3-8 in their last 11 games against the spread, and until I see them play, that's my last memory of what they were as a program until that team erases it.
Yeah, that was team. Derek King left the team. Clayton Tune took over through a lot of picks. They were a 4-8 team from last season. Not really strong defensively, and of course Tulane has had success in the past here against this Cougars team. So I'm with you there. What did you take from that season last year with the coaching change, the quarterback change, 4-8 finish? That was really disappointing.
Well, honestly, I thought the Oklahoma game was their game, and right after, that was that was basically, that told me who they were as a team. And they had a decent first half. They stayed with them pretty well, but Derek King probably, and that kind of plays into this week as well for King, because that was the only time, if you go back in his career, that was really the only time he was forced to go on the road and play a big time program. And I know he's got another opportunity this week, but was not great against Oklahoma. Ran around a bunch, but didn't complete passes at a high percentage, which he's going to have to do this week in order to have success. Speaking
of a high percentage, we're looking at Dana Lane over at Pick Dogs. Major League Baseball has been on fire. I mean, top of the leaderboard, you've been holding that position. So as you're doing very well up there, of course, we're trying to look at other sports now. We're going to get an NFL, college football. As hit the top of the hour, what do you have available over at Pick Dogs Premium? Probably a good time to pick up one of those long-term packages.
Absolutely, Tony, and people have been doing that this week, and I definitely appreciate it. And I want to go back to what we said in week one, not to jump right into football. It is a process. Know why you're putting money behind a team, not just blindly playing it just because it says, hey, the NFL is here or college football is here. So we did that. Last week, 3-1-1 in the NFL, 6-1 in college football. All those plays are documented on the website, and that's because we waited. We waited for the opportunity to make sure that we were comfortable allowing you to put your money behind my selection. So now we're going to go full force the rest of the year. I have I anticipate climbing up the rankings in football as well. Great baseball year. We're going to put that to bed here pretty soon. Very thankful and very lucky for the results on that. But, this is a 365-day-a-year game, and I anticipate moving from baseball into football, into the other sports, and making sure that we make money all year round.
Absolutely, guys. There's still a lot of baseball left. We still have 3 series counting this one left, so a lot of baseball. World Series, we get into the League Championship Series, Dana. So there's still a lot of games left.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure there is. I mean, there is a lot of games left, but I can tell you this. I love waking up and having 15 games to look at rather than the 2 or 3 or 4 that is chosen for me right now. It's, you get to this point in the year and you're trying to take what you think the money line should be. Those numbers are real close now to what you think it should be. So the value is slimmer than it is during the regular season. But, certainly we're off to a great start again in October, over 60% for the month of October. And I just kind of take this month by month. September was a great month. September's over. Let's do it again in October. And, a weekend where I'll take over 60%, but, still 3 weeks to go in the month, but I fully anticipate to have just as good a month in October as we did September.
Absolutely. October, then we bleed into November, more football. And then, of course, Dana, what you're very good at, college basketball. We'll be right on our footsteps by then.
I can't wait. I mean, fortunate enough to be ranked high, I guess I'll say. I mean, we'll go number 1 on some other sites, and looking forward to bringing that to the Pick Dog and Sports Chat Play site as well. We need – this is not a baseball season or just a college basketball season. This is a 365-day-a-year venture, and I appreciate the people that put their money behind me for a full year knowing that. And I guarantee if you do that and you manage your money well, at the end of the year, you'll be very happy that you invested in my yearly package.
Yeah, for that's Dana Lane. You can find him over at Pick Dogs Premium. Just go to Pick Dogs, click the banner there to the premium site, and you'll see him his right at the top of the leaderboards year to date, baseball number 1, and of course pick up one of those long-term packages. All right, we'll continue here on the drive-through. A little bit more time left. We got still baseball and some football to cover. And I'd like to bring in Joe D'Amico. Joe, I know you're going to give us some information, some of these best college football teams you've seen this season.
Well, this time of year, we normally have seen some conference play to gauge how some of these top teams, how much strength they have. And no, we have not seen the Big Ten or Pac-12 take any action yet, but we have seen a glimpse of a few teams that have separated themselves, I feel, from the rest of the NCAA football pack. I just want to talk about a couple of them and how strong they're looking. Future number 1 draft pick Trevor Lawrence and the Clemson Tigers, their string of 32 consecutive regular season victories, folks, that doesn't seem to be in jeopardy just yet. I wouldn't be counting them out just yet. They look as strong as ever. Alabama, who everybody knows they missed the college football playoff for the first time in the format's existence last season. They've got Mac Jones and arguably the best stockpile of offensive weapons in the nation. They are most likely heading right back to that college football playoff. I would bet on that one. I myself, last week, folks, want you to know, there's nobody that's done better over the last 20 years in this business as I have. There's certainly been some guys who have done well, and I'm happy for them. More power to them. But I don't know anybody that's won as much or gotten as many people paid as I have over the last 20 years. And I took a loss last week. I want to talk about a game that I went against last week, and I got a newfound respect for them. When the line went to 7.5, I took Auburn against Georgia last week, and I paid the price for it. The Bulldogs defense, guys, they are for real, making them one of the best overall squads in college football. I know there's a lot of excitement here. The two Kyles, Trask and Pitts, they have Gators fans excited for the first time since Tim Tebow was on the field. And although untested yet, and I know that they had an issue with health, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are one of the most well-balanced teams in the country. With Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan, and Minnesota all ranked in this week's top 25 without setting foot on the gridiron, I think it's going to be one of the most exciting college football campaigns we've seen in years. So grab a helmet, follow me, follow some of the other guys here at Pick Dogs. I'm going to tell you right now, you'll make some money, you'll have some fun. But this is going to be a great college football season. Obviously, some of these teams, they're usually at the top of the rankings and whatnot. But through the first month of play, these are some of the teams that we've really seen set themselves apart from a lot of the other teams, from the rest of the top 25 in college football. But like I said, without seeing the Pac-12 yet and 1 or 2 teams there and a couple of teams in the Big Ten, they've crashed the top 25 already without even setting foot on the field. But it's going to be a great season. But certainly Florida, Bama, Clemson, Georgia, you can't argue with success right now.
Absolutely can. It'll be a wild November here as we get more conferences play. We're going to have with the Pac-12, Big Ten, MAC, Mountain West, Dana. Our plate's going to get fuller for November.
Well, that's fine with me. The more the better. I love having all of these options. It gets overwhelming, and I wish sometimes there was more than 24 hours in a day. I think I'm still married, but the fact of the matter is that we sat around for 4 months without any of it, so I certainly can't complain that we got too much of it now.
Absolutely. All right, continue here on the drive-through. Guys, we're going to take a look here at a Thursday baseball game, and let's welcome to the show El Nino. So you'll find him over at Pig Dog Premium. El, how you doing this evening out there?
Pretty good. For the ladies wondering out there, not married. But yeah, how are you doing?
I can't complain. All right. You heard that from Mr. El Nino's. Legal age, you can get a marriage certificate. I think Joe was going to ask that question. I asked it for him.
I don't have to worry about that soon with some of a couple kids, but yeah.
All right.
Yeah, legal age, yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. All right. I know you're going to be taking a look here at this baseball game. It'll be Game 3, Atlanta and Miami. Of course, Miami trying to stave off elimination. Kyle Wright on the hill. Kind of a up and down pitcher. You know what you're going to get. He's favored though. Now up to $1.30, $1.40 in some places. Sixto Sanchez, promising young pitcher. Miami has a lot of these young arms in there. The underdog total sits here at 8.5. How do you see this one?
Yeah, Joe mentioned a couple cows. Here's one I think Miami's looking forward to seeing tomorrow. You mentioned his inconsistencies. He's been pretty consistently bad against Miami, at least this year. And throughout his whole career, he's put up some ugly numbers. But yeah, on the other side, you got Sanchez at a plus price. So, he's had a very good season. He had a couple rough outings lately. He saw the Braves, too, a couple times. He gave up 4 runs in just 3 innings the last time he saw them. But he also had a good start where he shut him out through 6 innings earlier in the season. Yeah, right. We mentioned him real quick. He gave up, as I said, the couple bad outings against Miami. He gave up 5 runs in just 4 innings last time, and then only lasted 3.2 innings. I believe he gave up 2 runs in that one. And yeah. Anyways, he's So I think Miami has a great shot here. We're making our play on the Miami on the money line, but I would also strongly suggest looking at Miami on the first 5 run line. I think that's a great look because of that starting pitching advantage we got. Obviously, I think Atlanta's got the better offense right now. As we said yesterday, they're on fire. But Sanchez gives us a chance to at least hang around at the start. That plus 5 runs looks pretty solid in the first 5. And then also gives them a chance to win this one outright at the in the full game. So, make a little play on both if I were you.
All right, Dana, your thoughts here on this Miami Marlins team? They got their guy Sixto on the hill, but they're down 0-2. It's a big hill to climb.
Well, I think Sanchez has everybody knows he's got an electric arm. In fact, the difference between his fastball and changeup is almost 10 miles an hour. A lot of movement on his pitches. The only thing I worry about is, he's 22 years old and he's barely 22 years old. I think the first couple innings, maybe you might run into some jitters. You might be wild, maybe not get the ball in the strike zone too much, but he's got a lot of movement. So as soon as he can get through that, and in fact, if he gets through the first couple innings, boy, I think he's gonna be in for a 6 or 7 inning outing. And for Kyle Wright, this is a guy when he's great against the teams, in fact, the non-playoff teams, but he has faced Miami and he's faced Tampa Bay this year. He's been horrible against both of those clubs. So this is not I'm just fresh off of what we just saw, so I'm not into this yet. But on the flip side of this is a Braves team that has shutouts in 3 of their last 4 games. So you can get Sanchez with an electric arm, maybe a little erratic, maybe the youth comes into play here, or you can get Kyle Wright that has not been very good against the better teams in the league.
Absolutely. All right, Al Ninos, join us here on the show. Looking here, taking the Miami Marlins here with Sixto Sanchez. All right, Al, as we pass the top of the hour, we see you over at Pig Dogs Premium. What do you got for the people out there?
I still have MLB play my best bet of the night in the MLB. I also have, as I mentioned a couple times, my NFL, my Thursday night football game. And still, I looked at the card, but I'm gonna have to dig a bit deeper into this one. There's a couple of plays I do like, but there's a couple of tricky ones out there too, so I have to take a good look at this card.
All right, Al Ninos here. Join us here on the Pig Dogs on our drive-through show. All right, Al, as always, great having your show. Have a great night, Al, and we will talk with you tomorrow.
Yep, we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, everybody. Al Ninos here on the show. All right, I'm going to take a look here at this Miami Dolphins San Francisco 49ers game. It's a big line here. SF laying at 8.5. There's some 9s in this place, but I'll be on record with Miami at plus 8.5. There's more bad injury luck for San Francisco. They lose 2 on defense to the injured reserve. They could be without Garoppolo. We'll see his status here. He's dealing with a high ankle sprain. They got poor backup play resulting in that loss last week to the Eagles. But with the Dolphins, they when they took a step down in class, they did pound Jacksonville. Their losses came to some strong teams: Patriots, Bills, and Seahawks. That's pretty strong. Ryan Fitzpatrick can move the football. 49ers are hobbled. I'd rather take the points here with the Dolphins at plus 8.5. Of course, Dana, we're hearing a lot of people wanting to see Tua. How soon will we see the rookie for Miami?
We might see him at halftime. We'll see what happens in this game. But, as you mentioned, they've been in games against teams that are in the upper echelon of the league. And, I don't know if it's certainly not time to start him, but you could see him in this game if this gets out of hand. Now, offensively, I'm not sure what we're going to get out of San Francisco, but we do know defensively they're one of the best teams in the league, and that's without D Ford and Boza. And so as far as that side of the ball, they're head and shoulders above Miami. So I don't know if they're going to put up 28 points in this game. I haven't dug too deep into it yet. But I do know defense wins football games, so I'm confident San Francisco is going to win this game. I just want to determine a little bit more whether or not they're going to be Miami's going to have the ability to stay within the points. And if Tua does come in, I may just not even be involved in this game because I don't know how you handicap a guy that we just have not seen yet.
Yeah, Joe, the former Alabama star, Tua, if he makes the start, when you saw him at Alabama, how do you think his play transitions to the pros?
I think it takes a great college football quarterback about 5 years to really adapt and learn and become a great pro quarterback. I mean, the guy's obviously has the tools to be a great quarterback, but this is a whole different ball game, and I do wish him well. I was a big fan of his at Alabama, and I'm a fan of any really good athlete. You got to love whether you like their character. And I'm not saying I don't like his character. I like his character. Whether you like their character or not, you got to respect their athleticism. He's a great athlete. He's a great competitor. He likes to win. He's a good team leader. But it will take some time, and I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I would – I don't think – listen, Miami to me was not going to be an AFC contender anyway. All right, I don't know if I would start to with just yet, or I'd bring him in a little bit here and there because he is the future of our ball club, and I would like to keep him healthy and get him to learn the situation. I don't think there's a lot of pressure on Miami to start and win right now. I mean, I get it. I understand it. You got the guy. You signed him. You want to put him out there, create some excitement, maybe get a win here and there. But I don't think I would start him against San Francisco, even without a couple of, as Dana mentioned, a couple of key defenders that are sidelined for the 49ers. They're still a pretty ferocious defense. And I don't want to see Tua get hurt in his first outing just to make the Miami fans happy. I would put in just about anybody else right now. I like to cultivate a quarterback. I don't just want to throw him out there. I mean, if I was an 8-8 or not, or if I was a double-digit, possibly season team that could win double digits, or a team that was even going to be flirting with an even record of 8-8 that might be able to make the playoffs, I could see a little more. I don't see Miami being that great. I'll be honest with you, being the fact that they're in that conference with New England and Buffalo, I don't see them really going to be going too far. I wouldn't play him just yet. I think it would be exciting. I think it's good for the game, but I would want to cultivate him a little bit more. I don't think they're under pressure to win right now, as some of the other teams in the league are under the gun.
All right, that's Joe D'Amico here. Join us here on the drive-thru. We do catch a final here with the Oakland Athletics forcing that game 4 in the series with a 9-7. Well, just as I was worried, once the shadows came, the scoring stopped, and that's exactly what happened at Dodger Stadium. I've seen that too many times. All right, tomorrow they'll start again at 3:35 Eastern time for Game 4. Dana, undecided against undecided tomorrow. So I guess we're undecided on this one, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to wait and see what the pitching matchup is going to be for sure before we start getting involved in this. And, Houston is definitely still in the driver's seat in this one. And good on Oakland grabbing one of these games. But, I like a lot of the talk that is coming out from the Houston locker room about, hey, it's us against the world. Before they went into the series, honestly, I mean, people were saying, this team just doesn't have that mojo again. And, 1 or 2 games later, you could say, well, yeah, it looks like they kind of do again. But they really need Altuve to be Altuve in order for them to be successful. And he really just has not been that kind of player yet.
No, he hasn't. All right, joined by Dana Lane, Joe D'Amico here on the drive-thru. We're here Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. A lot of picks for prime time. Of course, in football season, we're also going to mix in a lot of football for the weekend. And speaking of football for the weekend, now it's time for my pick. We're going to look at Pitt at Boston College. I'm going to take the points with BC plus 5.5 in this one. BC has defended well in the year, holding teams to under 18 points a game. They throw the football effectively. They got that Notre Dame transfer, Phil Jurkovich, who's completing 68% of his throws. Pitt, well, after 4 home games, this is their first game on the road. That's always a concern for me. And they dropped one to NC State. They give up a lot of passing yards. And, of course, Pitt did pick up some of their stats facing the likes of Austin Peay and a really down Syracuse team. So I'll take BC plus the 5.5. Dana, some people like to look at that angle when a college football team, when they're at home a lot and they play their first game on the road to go against them.
Yeah, I mean, I look at that and I say, okay, well, I put about 1% of that and apply it to whatever I'm going to do because every team is different. I mean, especially when they're talking about college football. I mean, we could have different quarterbacks. I mean, are we going to really apply that sort of theory to the Miami Hurricanes, or are we going to apply that sort of, if any Derek King leaving Houston, are we going to apply that to Houston after he leaves? I mean, it's just there's so many intangibles, especially in college football, where the programs turn over the soil pretty consistently. So I don't try, even when I'm looking at trends, I kind of go back maybe 10 games and kind of, say, okay, that's current form. But even very rarely do I go from season to season, especially except in this Houston game where, we know that, how are you going to go from 124th on defense against the pass to being all of a sudden a team that we can rely on within a year? That to me is a little bit far stretched. So that's how I can apply that last year to this year. But usually I got to see teams play, and I kind of use my gut and intuition before I use anything else.
All right, staying late here as we're on the Pick Dogs, guys. Now it's time to recap our picks for today. So let's take a look at our picks for this action for our show today. All right, we started off with Joe Duffy. The Duffmeister said take Mississippi State plus the 2 against Kentucky. Then we went to Joe D'Amico. Take the Yanks minus 126 against the Rays. They're in progress now. You can play them in game. Still likes the Yanks. Ron, LA Dodgers run line minus 1.5 runs, minus 110 against the Padres. Chris, take the Jaguars plus 6 against the Texans. Dana is on Tulane plus the 6.5. There are 7 some plays, so shop that line. Get that touchdown if you can against the Houston Cougars. Al, the Marlins plus 113 against the Braves, game 3 of that one. And of course, yours truly on Boston College plus 5.5 against Pitt. I'm going to go to Dana here. Other than your pick, which one up here do you like the best?
Well, I love Boston College. I mean, I've been on Boston College early and often just because I'm very familiar with their quarterback. And as you mentioned, he was a Notre Dame transfer. That's a kid that nobody knows about right now, and he's going to give you a chance to win on most weekends. So I do like that pick a lot. All
right, and Joe, other than your pick, which one do you like up here?
I'm going to tell you right now, I think great minds think alike. I like Boston College, too. They were a team that I had already circled. I looked at them a little bit, plus the 5.5. I think it's a good play. I love that Doug Flutie. I think he's going to be something someday. No, I really do think it's a good – I think of the line. I like a lot of the games up there, but I will agree with Dana. I will agree with you, Tony. Great minds think alike. I think Boston College is definitely a good play, and I think they're in a good situation this week.
Yeah, I think they are. All right, that was our show. Drive Thru, guys. Tune in tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time. We'll do this all again. We'll have some picks from the primetime baseball games. We'll also look at some football for the weekend. All right, let's go ahead and bring in the crew here, the Pick Dogs crew from today. Let's give everyone a wave, and we'll say goodbye for tonight. And we'll see you guys tomorrow live at 6 p.m. Eastern